Macro scale, when I think about somebody like the Queen who accomplished so much in her life as the zenith of accomplishment, and most people probably haven't even thought about her today, except for the fact that we just brought it up. Mm-hmm. And so I think that whenever I have my harder times, that's my like reminder to self of the absurdity of it all, which is like someone's going to argue over what appetizer they're going to serve when I die. This probably doesn't matter that much.
How does that change the way that you show up and operate in the moment?
I think it just decreases affect in the acute moment. So I define resiliency as the amount of time after an aversive stimulus, after a bad thing happens, that you return back to baseline behavior. And so
whatever you turn back to baseline, it is your baseline, and it's the only baseline that you know to demand. Because without this so-called baseline, you will get nowhere within this game of life.
And then there's a different one, which is how long is your fuse, which is toughness, and that's a whole different thing, right? But resiliency is like, okay, I've been cracked. I've hit the fuse, the bomb's gone off. But the size of the bomb is irrelevant. Like, you can be super resilient, have a terrible day, your father dies, and the next day you're back. People are like, holy shit. It's like you go to the depths of hell, you touch the bottom of the pool, and then you shoot back up. And so I think about how many different tools can I have in my tool set to make the rebound from down to back up as V-shaped as possible.
What are those tools for you?
Cosmic irrelevance is probably the biggest one when I think about, because it's so fast, I feel like I do it almost automatically now, which is like, okay, I'm on a planet spinning around the sun, inside of a galaxy, inside of a universe that we'll never reach the end of because it's expanding faster than the speed of light. Okay, the fact that, there was a mistake in my book printing, no one's going to care.
Okay, nobody will care. Nobody will give a fuck about if your book prints differently than what you think it will be. Just know that his book made record-breaking views, and that's upon hundreds of thousands upon views of that book. So
doesn't matter, right? So that's one of them. Another one's the frame of the veteran, which I use a lot, which is if this inconvenience happened 1,000 times in a row, on the 1,000th time, what would I think about it? Well, I'd probably be like, well, this is just how life is. And then if I could feel that way on the 1,000th time, then it means that I can feel that way on the first time right now, because it's just choice, because the actual circumstance is the same. Those are probably like my two most prevalent, or, the ones that I like, my default ones they're in my back pocket.
There's a cool insight that the more you complain, the less accurate your model of reality. So complaining is you saying, the world isn't delivering to me that which I anticipated or expected or desired from it, which is also you saying, I don't understand how the world works until it comes and meets me in reality.
God, I haven't heard it phrased that way, and I really like it. I think about the hate that we all get, whether it's from ourselves or other people, or the hate that we spew towards the external conditions, is simply boiled down to this person lives their life in a way that I would not prefer. And so I have translated every single negative comment that comes to me where someone complains about me, so flipping the script, to Alex lives his life in a way that I would not prefer. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually been this very weird, they said all this stuff, and I was like, does that mean that I live my life in a way they wouldn't prefer? Great, because they live their life in a way that I wouldn't prefer, and that's why it's their life, and I live my life, and it's just been this really wonderful reframe that just almost comically completely minimizes most things. But I think that complaints come down to that. The universe exists in a way that I would not prefer. Right? Yep. It's like,
why are you not bending to my will?
Yeah. And so I think I can't remember the psychologist. I'm gonna butcher it, but one of the big guys talked. I want to say Kinsey, but I don't want to mess it up. Talked about there's three primary things that everyone casts all their pain and suffering to, which is you have circumstances, you have other people, and then you have self, and that's it. Those are the three big ones that everyone puts all of their blame on. And so the first two obviously don't serve you. The third sometimes serves you depending on what you do as a result of it, right? And so that actually, those big three has just been a really easy filter. Is like, oh, am I blaming circumstances? Am I blaming other people? Am I blaming me? And obviously you want to skip to you because that's the only thing you can do anything about.
The idea that all of the things that you're working toward, all of the dreams, all of those things are going to stop. There is going to be a day when you no longer answer your emails. Like, I think about this. I think about how many, even now, right? Email's not been around for that long, widespread, maybe 25 years, something like that. Most people have had an email address, maybe 20 years. All of the people that have died between then and now, they just have email inboxes, just accumulating stuff from, lots of newsletters, lots of online retailers. But there will also be people expecting a reply.
Right.
And saying, why hasn't this guy replied to me? And it's like, because he's dead.
Yeah. There's just thinking. I think a lot about the end of my life. Maybe it's a borderline obsession of mine. But thinking about like what the last 5 years are going to look like, and also thinking about my cognitive decline, which is going to be inevitable on the back half of my life. And it gets really tricky when you think about fluid intelligence, which peaks when you're like between 25 and 35, and then like at our age, right now, it's just all going down, right? Yeah. Like we're beginning the slow decline. And in thinking about that, I was like, I will actually never be sharper than I am today for the rest of my life. And the idea that there will be young people who will replace me, because humans are all replaceable, we have proven that. And so when I think about that, it decreases the stakes of these huge dreams that if I don't accomplish them, I will be upset or else. And so it's like we have these big or else's, like we want to threaten the universe, like I can't stand it if this does not occur. It's like, and the universe remains unchanged, and the universe is undefeated.
Correct.
When you think about meal kit companies, what do you see? Probably long, complicated recipes and...
Correct. Well, that's why I was my Twitter bio for a long time was locally reversing entropy.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I just love that idea that you have the entire universe, this force entropy, which is going to inevitably destroy everything. Yeah. Not just everything you care about, everything that could have created anything that anything could have cared about. And it's going to destroy it.
Yeah.
But for a brief period of time, a few decades, you locally stop the most powerful force in the universe. I think that's so fucking cool.
I don't know if you saw this, but Bezos has this one page that was just brilliant. And he basically paraphrases Richard Dawkins talking about how over time, all organisms revert to their environment. Literally, like the temperature of your body once you die eventually just normalizes with the environment. The acidity of what's going on, like inside of your body, normalizes, and then eventually, like, you become one with your environment. And so it's the exact same concept. And so Bezos was talking about that quote, which was about biology, but he said, "This is, originally about biology, but so much more so about the way that we want to live, which is that everything around you will try and force you to dilute yourself. It will force you to try and merge in, fit in with your surroundings." And he said, like, this force is natural and it's inevitable, and yet we have to fight it. And the fact that it's hard does not make it less worth it. And I thought that was like, it was just, I reposted it because I thought it was so elegant.
It's like a cosmic regression to the mean.
Yeah, it's exactly that. That's exactly what it is. So I think we all know that we're going to the regression to the mean is inevitable. Again, I think about these things that are, I want to say, I don't know if humility is the word, but like humility inducing. But like the idea that I'll die and then like worms will eat my body. Just like a very simple thing like that. Or if I died, like I was like, what if I just died by an animal killing me? Sometimes I think about that, and I'm like, I would just be its lunch. Like everything that I've done up to this point, it's like my arm will feed its child, and like my thigh will feed it, and then like they'll leave some of it for the carrier.
It'd be a good meal.
Yeah, it'd be a good meal. It'd be one good meal. Yeah. And it just takes the stakes of like, I'm so important, right? All of these goals matter, to just like, I could be lunch. And that kind of,
Agreed.
gives me one large exhale.
The single greatest skill you can develop is the ability to stay in a good mood in the absence of things to be in a good mood about.
I think that tweet has been my theme for 2025. It's funny because that was the most shared tweet I've ever had. And it was almost, at the opposite of ironic. It was fitting, right? It was completely fitting for the year. And it's been because like this year I've had I would say a series of unfortunate events that has occurred, and it's really tested my tools, right? Tools in the tool belt for reframing reality so that I can make my experience less, miserable. And so I thought about that. It's like if I were to boil everything down of all the skills that you can learn, if everything that we do eventually becomes irrelevant, then the single greatest skill that you can develop is being in a great mood in the absence of things to be in a great mood about. And so one of the other frames on this is most people don't question someone who's in a bad mood. Like, I'm just in a bad mood. So it's like, well, if you can be in a bad mood for no reason, it's like you might as well be in a good mood for no reason, because that one at least serves you. And so I've been trying to exercise, like, because there's, on one degree, there's like, let's count things to be grateful for. On the other side, it's like, why do I have to have things to be grateful for in order to be in a good mood? Like, why is trying to find things a requirement of being in that mood? Like, can I not find things and still choose to be in a good mood? Because I've certainly not had things to be in a bad mood about and been in a bad mood. Mm-hmm. And so I've been trying to flex that, which is like, sure, we can find things to be grateful for, and when those things pop up, yes, and of course it's a practice. You get better at it, but like, what if I could just be in a good mood? And so I've just tried to break that relationship between the two, because then it makes it contingent on something that I can find.
How successful have you been at that?
Mediocre.
Well, look, I think it's a lovely idea in isolation, in theory, but I'm not convinced about how effective it is in practice, for the reason that humans have a negativity bias. It's our psychological entropy.
100%.
And your ability to detect things that are a risk to you significantly better than your ability to detect things that are just pleasant. Like this morning, I texted you and I was like, hey man, like I really love the feeling I have of anticipation on a morning before we do a podcast. That's a normal, boring, mundane source of pleasure to me.
Yeah.
If I'm not really, really training myself to notice that, it just fucking falls away with the fact that, I asked for almond milk and I bet this would have been better with like whole milk.
If that's the thing that ruins the day. And the thing is you do notice it though, right? You do notice that. So I've had, one of my themes this year has been focusing on moments, and on both the positive and the negative. And so, like, when we think back on, if I think back on the last year, right, I don't remember probably 95% of the year. Like, I did the same things. And so it's like, it just didn't get recorded. Like, nothing notable happened. And so really, like, when we think about a year, we really just recall a handful of moments, and that's it. And those moments in time are usually very short. And so I've been trying to think about the bad seasons as, well, maybe it wasn't a bad season. Maybe I had 5 bad days, or really 5 bad moments that I then thought about for the entire season, and turned what would have otherwise been 5 minutes times 5 into an entirely bad year. And so it's like, okay, well, if we can do that in the negative, can we do in the positive, which is, obviously the thing to exercise. But to the point that you said earlier about our ability to detect threat and risk at such better accuracy than our ability to detect good things, it's so interesting, because if you use that side of your brain, not to derail us, but like, I think that has been one of the things that's helped me a tremendous amount in business. Because when I think about a business and I want to grow it, for example, I would think, okay, what are all the things that can destroy this business? And this is Charlie. This isn't me. But basically, he says, invert, always invert. And Einstein said that too. And it's because, like, you get to use this way stronger horsepower engine of, like, how do I grow my business? That's you can obviously think that way, but the alternative would be like, how would I absolutely destroy this business in the fewest possible moves? And then
how can I continue this business? How can I not let it thrive? How can I not let it destroy myself or others within this business? Okay.
list out those moves, you're like, cool, now let's do the opposite of that. And that has been, honestly, a lot of some of the sources of my greatest kind of creative moments have come from these apparently obvious things that would kill us. Well, what if we did the even more obvious thing and did the opposite of what would destroy us? And it's worked better than I deserve.
So this is a problem.
Yeah.
You can be rewarded professionally for focusing on things that you do not want to focus on personally. And Ryan Long taught me this. He was talking about how he's a Canadian comedian, really funny guy. Spends all of this time, dialing in these bits and obsessing over how it could be better. And then he says to himself, yeah, but I don't need to do that in your relationships. No, can you let that go when it comes to the way that you show up for your partner or your friends or your body image or whatever? You don't get to compartmentalize stuff like that. And it is a very unfortunate irony of the world that the skill set you often need to become successful in business is the one you need to get rid of to be happy in your life.
Is the one you need to get happy with in your life, which means get rid of it. The way I look at skill sets is that skill set is based around mentality, mindset-based algorithm, and just what you're truly trying to unlock within that certain goal. If that makes sense.
Yes. So I was thinking about what you were saying earlier with regards to risk and our ability to detect it. So the other part of that that's been really interesting is we also, not only do we detect more threats, we also overemphasize how catastrophic they could be. And the converse of that is we rarely identify the upside. And when we do, we typically underestimate the upside. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't talk about as much. Obviously, I always have a business, hat on, literally. But I think about this because I think this is where, like, you said at the very beginning that people complain because they cannot accurately view reality. And so if we tie that to this concept, then it means that people will disproportionately blame the universe and then perceive significantly greater risk for them asking a girl out, starting a business, taking a loan, asking a stranger to buy something, making a podcast, and for fear of what other people on the internet will say or people who know them, right? So we catastrophize this side, but the flip side is, and so you hear this a lot when people do make it and whatnot. They're like, I never dreamed it would be this big. Now, some people are obsessive and like absolutely have thought through everything. I fall more on that side. But on the other hand, though, a lot of people do get there and they're like, I never thought it was going to be this big. And it's because we typically just underemphasize the upside, which is where, from the business perspective, it's like that's where the alpha is. That's where the outperformance exists, where most people.
Like and subscribe if you guys want to see more. Peace.